from years gone by constantly need propping up by
Yeah,
outside sources, aren't able to structure themselves in such a way. Now, I get that this seems to be almost a plea so that they can bring in future investors, but what about when them investors aren't bothered anymore? 'Cause let's
yeah,
face it, it's not an investment, is it? It has to be taken on as a vanity project,
yes, it
or
is.
as a like for altruistic reasons or something. It's someone who just wants to support the game, not someone who's going to see it as an investment, because it's not an investment. There's no value in putting money into the club. All the money gets spent, no money comes back out of it. But I do hope they reach the target. I do hope these people are legit, they're for real, and that they help give the club a solid foundation over the next few years. Touch on Brian's point. I think it's important that the Cumbrian semi-pro clubs do take advantage of a burgeoning, well, of a still strong amateur scene. You look at the top clubs in the National Conference Leagues, and a large proportion are from Cumbria.
Yes.
But there's no top Cumbrian teams in the Super League because there's no spectator interest. They're regularly not getting more than 700 to 800 a game at these so-called big clubs of the history of the game in West Cumbria. There's no fan base to support them, sadly, but there is a game below their level that can feed into them and they can feed on from, and that's a really important thing. And hopefully, strengthening the finances of the club can then allow them to reconnect with what they're supposed to be, because they're not supposed to be a Super League club. I don't think they're trying to be a Super League club. I think they're hoping to be a Championship club and skate through by the skin of their teeth, and they didn't do that, and they didn't go back up last year, so they're in trouble now, and
Yeah.
that's what happens to clubs like
Well,
this.
exactly. It's fantasy business planning from the Bradford Bulls School of Economics from the mid 2010s. So this thing about a group of investors, they've got this money, we just need to put our hands in our pockets and put this money down. That all that stuff. Those exact words are exactly what happened at Bradford, and all the money went for is running costs and paying the players' wages and kind of clearing some of the debts off the sheet. It's not, as you rightly say, obviously it's not an investment. It's a bailout. There's no other word for it, because they haven't been able to budget for the number of fans that have been coming through the gate. The worry is obviously that by including 2019 season tickets, what you're doing is you're just taking money now that you might hope to get in during the off season.
You are, but I think that the money is. I think the next few seasons, by reading between the lines, are underwritten by these two investors that are coming.
Well, I was reading, and the amount of money that the investors are talking about is less than the £60,000.
Is that not just for the rest of this year?
Well, it might be for the rest of this year, but my point is that investors or potential investors love talking about, we can invest this, we can do this, we can do that. But until you've actually got some cash on the table, it's very difficult to believe them. What they're asking for people who don't really have much money to put their hands in their pockets, either to buy a season ticket ahead of schedule or just to make a donation from the goodness of their heart. And you're not necessarily, there's no guarantee about the long-term sustainability, because they haven't been able to prove that they can budget to League One crowds and League One income.
This is what I don't get, though. Why are the crowds? Like, I get people want to watch like top rugby or whatever, but I don't. Unless like less away travel's going, because obviously you've got the non-Heartlands clubs that have got to travel a lot of distance, and I understand League One fans not going to a lot of away games, if I'm honest.
No,
because there's a big time commitment to away games, and you might get the opportunity to go and watch a Super League game instead that weekend or that sort of thing, and I think that's probably better. But I don't get why the home support should be lower. I just don't get it in that area, because they've got no other they're all at that level. Barrow obviously are doing a bit better down at the south end of Cumbria, but they're kind of dealing with a little bit of a different market as well, because they are a bit further away. I think people forget Barrow sometimes in the Cumbria conversation because they are a bit different. They are a bit further away.
Yeah. I just think it's, as I said, it brings back memories to me, and although it might be a different scale, the point is exactly the same. And if you cannot cut your cloth, then I'm sorry, but you have to go out there and pull fans in. You have to pull fans in the way that York have done. Look at York. If people like Whitehaven are not talking to York about how are you doing this, how are you getting 1,300 people through the gates, how are you doing this, how can we learn from you, because you were on your uppers 18 months ago, how can we be more like you and be sustainable, or a little bit more sustainable at this level, because they are showing you the way.
To that level, broadcasters will want to be involved more. Wherever same with the Championship. If they could draw crowds, if Lee didn't have a whole third of their stadium shut for every single game, even when they were in fucking Super League, right? Then great if they can survive like that. But it's not going to draw interest in if you're not selling more tickets, and it's the same for the Super League clubs that aren't selling enough as well.
I mean the principle's the same.
10,000 at Wigan and Hull isn't acceptable, let alone 4,000 at Huddersfield or what have you, or 3,000 at Widnes. It's not. It's a whole game problem. But these clubs should be talking to each other, should be working together more, and should be trying to realise that the strength is in together. And if they think they can't sustain it, do find a way of keeping the semi-pro presence alive with a merger or that sort of thing, because it's just nuts to think you can keep going the same way, because if all these problems exist that we're apparently up against and no one's found a solution to them, then we just don't have the money to give to the clubs. It's as simple as that.
Because you're calling on the same pot, and and don't get me wrong, obviously Bradford are up there this weekend. I fully encourage every Bradford fan who can get up there to get up there and go to the game. And obviously they're reducing the entry fees to £10. By all means go and help in that sense. I don't want to be a naysayer in that sense, but what I say is that they should have already budgeted for Bradford bringing 500, I don't know, 500ish say, at whatever price, and that should be part of your balance sheet, because you knew 12 months ago that you'd be playing Bradford at about this time of the year. So it's all about it's professionalism, and professionalism doesn't mean being a fully professional club. It means running yourself appropriately, and that's my concern. Any of these clubs that run into these kind of problems is that it's not being run professionally, and that's where I always have concerns about putting money into it just without getting any guarantee of anything coming back.
Okay, right. We've got a couple of other stories. I'll just roll through those. Hunslet have announced the signing of Zach Braham for the remainder of the season. Following his release from Doncaster, the prop made 11 appearances for Doncaster this year, scoring 3 tries. And London Scholars have announced the signings of Ilias McCarney and Matt Ross on month loan deals. The Scholars find themselves 11th in League One and have added strength to their backs with McCarney from Sheffield Eagles, and Keithley's Matt Ross, who plays prop, will also join them on a month loan. Okay, and finally, a story. I can't remember if it was when you were last on that we had it in the finally.
It was.
No, it's
like these things are all circular at the moment. Yes,
it is that way.
Yeah, so mental health charity State of Mind has set a world record for the largest number of people attending a mental health awareness event. The charity took over this Helliwell Jones Stadium in Warrington for an evening of storytelling from former Rugby League professionals to raise awareness of mental health problems. 857 people attended the workshop, beating the previous record by almost 200 people.
Yeah, very good work by the charity. I'd had hoped to get someone into the show, but we've struggled to link up availability for that, so I'll plug away for that for the rest of the year, hopefully at some point. But I think it's fantastic. The pictures from it all looked great. All the people seemed to have a rewarding experience at the event, and it's real positive. It's just another way of highlighting what we're doing as a sport to support people with their mental health and well-being.
Yeah, let's talk more about this and less about silly boys out having a drink, shall we?
It's a big positive. We've got the State of Mind round coming up with this weekend as well ahead of us, so there'll be lots more going on. I think the man van's going to be going around a few games, so you can get yourself a haircut probably again. Go in and check out this Rugby League memorabilia on display. They'll give you a brew. If you've got anything you do need to offload, and you've just not found a comfortable environment to do it, the people there are really accommodating to you and really do want to hear what you need to talk about and want to help you and they'll be able to give you guidance and advice and support on where you can further get what you need really. And if you can't be involved in that, or try and be involved just if you notice some changes in one of your mates or workmates or what have you, or teammates if you play an amateur side or something, just ask them in an appropriate way when they've got when you think they might have a opportunity to talk. Give them someone to talk to, or if you're feeling under pressure yourself about things, tell someone, because people care and people want to make you feel better, and sometimes just talking it through is a real easy way to ease the worry and the weight on your mind. So do follow in State of Mind's lead there with this offload campaign.
Cool.
Okay, right, we're going to move on to Super League match reviews now. We've got no Wigan games to talk about, but loads of other games to talk about.
Nice try.
Super League match reviews now, sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. You can find a wide range of toys, gifts, Rugby League birthday cards and more, much more, at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop. And on any orders over £5, you can earn 5% cash back. And also 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers by putting SLP discount at checkout. And if you want to give your 5% to SLP too, you can by messaging Rob's Toy Shop when you make your order. It all helps to my running costs for the show. Okay, round 17 of Super League, what we're going to be talking about, Alan. Average attendance was up on 2 weeks ago when it was the last regular Super League round. 9,030 was the average attendance. All crowds bar one were over 9,000. The one that brought it down is the one that we're going to speak about first. Thursday night's game. It finished 32-16 to Wakefield Trinity over Wigan Warriors. 4,681 were there. James Child was the referee. Do you want to start giving us the fan reviews?
Yep, so Paul O'Brien says, looks like Dennis Betts may be already having an input with that performance by Wigan. Wakefield played well tonight and deserved the win. Poor discipline by Wigan cost them tonight. Good to see the referees stamping down on dissent.
Okay, I've got the wrong page. Wakey Y said, great performance from Wakey in this one. Best defence I've seen all year and dangerous in attack. Finn hasn't played since I called him out for being garbage. Today Hampshire showed why I was right to do so. Powley left bruises with every run. Kermond had a great game, but BJB deservedly got man of the match, and it was his interception try that secured the win for Wakey. Also, town full of rectums, maybe my new favourite chant. I've got one left rectum now.
Yeah, he's just elsewhere. So St David says, you don't have to be much off your game to get beaten in Rugby League. Since Wayne's announcement, Wigan seem to have dropped their intensity by 5 to 10%, and it's proving fatal. They need to fix up quickly if they want to stay in the 4. Bateman continues to be the exception, a true warrior.
Phil Nadine said, Trinity played a great game here, keeping Wigan on the back foot for the majority of the game. Wigan just didn't look dangerous going forward apart from the last 10 minutes, and by then it was too late.
Yeah, so David Lawrenson says, painful to watch. Sam Tompkins' tackles are made of gravy. Discipline is shocking. Players look apathetic. Lots to fix. Coach and player exodus must be having an impact on the club. compounded by a controversial signing and a pair of pissed-up dickheads. At least it's never boring.
Brian Davies said, comfortable win for Trin, who were almost perfect for the first 29 minutes. Our pack dominated Wigan, who were simply not able to cope with our strength or size. Wigan were very predictable in attack, whilst Wakey were much more fluent and imaginative. Good win against one of the poor teams. Now starts our run against the top sides. Good to see the ref penalised. Back chat.
Okay, and Sarah says, the grubby rectums of Wigan come to the dilapidated stadium of Wakefield. Another fine example of the man in the middle taking